So welcome to today's Feed Your Mind session presented by Fuse Des Moines Chamber of Commerce. And I want to welcome everyone who is attending today, either live or if you're watching this recording. We are pleased to have our sponsor with us today, Mediacom Business. So I'd like to introduce Holly Jacobson to talk a little bit about Mediacom Business. And I know that Holly has put a flyer of some kind of folder, file or something in the chat. And so if you don't see that there, we will be emailing that out to you as well. So if you're not able to get it now, maybe you joined a little late or something, but that will be emailed out to you. But Holly, with Mediacom Business, I'll let you say a few words about Mediacom.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I wanted just to touch base briefly. Wanted to say thank you to Fuse to even having us as a sponsor. But just in case you haven't seen it on TV yet, we now have a new advanced data security system. And it is the first line of defense against malicious threats and hackers. So to help you safeguard all devices connected to your network from harmful cyber attacks. So I'm just going to hit just a couple of brief features, benefits about this product, and then everything else will be put into the chat in regards to that flyer that Daniel just mentioned. It does have that powerful defense solution that helps helps you protect against breaches by blocking access to compromised websites and links. It is cloud-based, so it does give you that. It gets a separate installation for no additional hardware, so it's no additional installation and no additional hardware. This is a brand new product, and I do apologize. I'm stumbling a bit, so I'm still learning it as we're bringing it out. So I do apologize. And one more thing it does do for you, it gives you access to your account anytime by viewing a personalized dashboard showing blocked threats to your network in real time. And as I mentioned, more additional information is also in the chat in regards to this brand new product that we got.
All right, wonderful. And so if your business is struggling a little bit, if you need some better internet needs, other communications or connectivity, make sure you reach out to Holly and she can work with you and help you get set up. So Holly's a member of the chamber, so she's a great connection to know. Well, today we are pleased to introduce Jacob Rep. I think everyone knows Jacob. Jacob makes his way around the city a lot. And Jacob, I'm a little disappointed. It's a rare day that you don't see Jacob without a bow tie. And here he is without a bow tie. It's one of those days. But certainly glad you're here, Jacob. Well, Jacob is a champion for Des Moines, as many of you know. He's very passionate about uplifting this great city, along with empowering others to collaborate and differentiate themselves. He does work for Principal Financial Group and speaks to groups about growing their professional network, differentiating themselves, and how to use LinkedIn to grow their brand and business, and a lot of other things as well. You probably saw that in his bio when you registered today. And I have seen a lot of Jacob's work on LinkedIn. I'm sure many of you have as well. So I'm very excited to introduce Jacob today. And as you get started here, Jacob, this group is usually very active in the chat. So I'll let you decide what you want to do. If you want to take questions as they come up, I'll be monitoring chat. We can have questions and comments that way as well. But the floor is yours, and I'll let you run this the way that you would like to.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see if I can get this hold up. Share screen. All right, do you see this? Did this come through?
Yes, and we see the presentation mode. Yep, so we see the slide.
That is what I like to hear. You never know with technology, so here we are. So one, I want to say thank you for having me or asking me to be here. I'm assuming since you're here, that all of you have businesses of some sort. And in some cases, you're probably tired of Facebook. Still a good place to do business, but toxic in a lot of other ways. Some of you, I know that my good friend Emily Steele is here recently in the last couple of months talking about Instagram, a phenomenal place to do business. And depending on what your business is and your demographic, so it's still a phenomenal place to do. Twitter still is somehow exists. TikTok exists. There's all these platforms to be used for business. And the question that we have to have is always, which one should I be involved in? Which ones are worth my time? Where should I spend my time, my energy, my efforts, potentially my ad dollars if we're paying for marketing? And that's a really good question. And that's something that everybody has to have a strategy for. And all I'm trying to talk to you about today is, as a business, can we think differently about LinkedIn? And to give it a little bit of the background, I'm a financial advisor for Principal, and we've probably all got a connection from a financial advisor or an insurance person, and you know exactly how this goes. 15 seconds later, you have a copy-pasted automatic thing saying, hey, I want to do business with you, or your hard pitch. And if you're like me, you literally hate that. So it was really important for me starting out to go, how can I be different and position myself different, even though I have the same titles or work for the same company, so that people will want to get to know me, will want to invest. And then when I do ask for time for coffee or a Zoom call or whatever it was, that they don't think that I'm going to come at them with a hard pitch. It was that was my dilemma. And some of you know exactly what it's like. But LinkedIn became kind of the place where I played around with things. I did a lot of searching on the algorithm and how do we use that. And then all of a sudden, a couple years into it, everyone was asking me to come talk to them about how to build their presence on LinkedIn. And so here we are. 3 years later, and which is exciting. And my argument is that we should be using LinkedIn as a part of our strategy. Ultimately, that's it. And if we do that, we can still grow our business. And to be fair, when I'm talking about using LinkedIn, I'm not talking about paid LinkedIn. I'm not talking about necessarily Sales Navigator. I'm not talking about any of those things. What are some simple ways that we can be using some of the content you're already making for your business on Facebook, on Instagram, and just repurpose it and start to build a following on LinkedIn? Like, that is what we're trying to accomplish. And so here's my objectives for today. We just want to know who's on LinkedIn, because if you're going to spend time and energy to be used on a platform, you better know who's on, because if your target market isn't on there, you shouldn't be using your time. So who's on there? How has it grown over the years? And ultimately, how are we going to use it effectively and efficiently? And in order to do that, we need to know how the algorithm works. At least right now, it will change. It has changed multiple times in the last 4 years that I've been using it. And then you have to start going, and how do we build our network, and how do we post things that will engage those people that are potential buyers of your product or service? And so that's our objective. And so, Daniel, I think that we have the first question here, because we have a question. I want to find out kind of the rhythm or the pulse of the people here on how you view LinkedIn just in general, because, well, we probably all think about it differently.
Okay, so here we go, Jacob. I'm launching the first poll right now then.
So we want to know, does your business have a strategy for using LinkedIn currently?
So we are answering this based on the business or our personal, because like here we've got a FuseDSM, but mine personally. Okay.
I would say personally, and I'll tell you why I think that's important, but.
Okay, so we're approaching just a few more people here. We've got about everybody voted. A couple more still hesitating. Maybe they're trying to fall between B and C, trying to figure out which direction they're leaning. All
There's
right.
no right answer.
Well, yeah, well, let's go ahead and say that all the votes are in here, and I'm not sure if everyone can see the results, or this is the first time I've done a poll. I don't know what happens when I push end. So I'll read you the results here, Jacob. So we have one response to answer A, we do, and are currently implementing it. We have 3 who say it's something we're discussing. By far the majority, 7, say they have an account and post occasionally, and that's enough, right? That counts. And then we have 2 who say, what? LinkedIn can be used for more than just looking for a job?
So to be fair, this is normally what happens. And honestly, more people are usually they think LinkedIn is only for a job. And I will admit that this happens can I close this? Oh, perfect, it went away. A lot of people do think, and it was, if you think about where LinkedIn was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was, I'm looking for a job, I'm gonna get on. And ironically, LinkedIn is the oldest platform that still exists like right now. So it's actually started a few years before Facebook, but no one knows that, but it's still active, and it's still growing actively. And we just need to have a strategy if your target market is on. So here, let's talk about it for a second. Oh, maybe. So why? Well, guess what? We have 722 million users. This is as of October, so all the data is as of October. It's the most recent stuff I could find. Now, to be fair, most of us don't have international business, so doesn't matter that 722. We want to know in the US, how many? 174 of those in the US. Now, again, some of us don't have business that is even outside the state, but it's important to know who your demographics are. If you're in sales, well, guess what? You know who's on LinkedIn? 45% of them are C-level managers or upper level management. So in our sales world, those people are called decision makers. So almost half of the people that are on LinkedIn are the people that you need to be talking to anyway. And funny enough, most of those people still manage and run their own account, which means for the people that are in sales, we can bypass gatekeepers. That is a very good thing. And so guess what? Your target audience, they're there. This is a crazy stat because people go to LinkedIn primarily to get information. So based on all the studies and surveys that are out there, people are trusting content and posts and articles on LinkedIn more than any other platform, which is crazy. So it's viewed as a place where you don't get the fake news you don't have here. It's content leaders that are posting facts. If I'm looking for XYZ in whatever industry, I can find that on LinkedIn. And so what they're finding is half of business to business traffic to your website, if you have a blog or create content in that sense, it's not all stuff. Facebook will still get a lot of that. But if you're trying to drive people to your blog or trying to drive people to your website, half comes from LinkedIn. And it's people that are actively looking for stuff. So if you are dependent upon business to business, this might be a good place to be, potentially. Well, this shouldn't come to a surprise. We're always on our phone. We get notifications. Half of that comes from, or all traffic comes from the LinkedIn app. I'm on it all the time. This is why you probably get notifications from me if we post or whatever. You see me all the time. I'm sorry, but it's because I get notifications and then I respond. And here's the kicker. If you're not business to business, say you're business to consumer, LinkedIn is still viewed at the corporate level as professional development, networking. So you want to know what principal doesn't block? what EMC doesn't block, what Wells Fargo doesn't block, all the major employers that are in Des Moines, they don't block LinkedIn. And so people, because I used to work at Principal right out of college, and this is what we literally did. We scrolled aimlessly through LinkedIn when we were bored, the way that you and I scroll through Facebook. And so during 8 to 5, you have people that are at home now, or normally they'd be in the office, scrolling aimlessly, and you just have a very driven, like focused people that if you get in their feed during 8 to 5, then that's awesome. There's a way to have a touch point. So literally right now I posted my Why Wednesday, and why we're doing this, people are engaging. I know, because I'm getting these little alerts coming up, which is awesome, because you and I only have 24 hours in a day, no matter who we are. So if we can use platforms to get in front of our target audience and not have to be there in that meeting, well, this is where marketing is just really good. So they're there. If you're B2C, the people are on LinkedIn. And even more importantly, almost half, we'll round it to half, of people have a $75,000 salary, which also means these are people that have the money to buy our products or services, period. And if you look at what the average income is for platforms like Facebook, that's not the case. There are, obviously, your target is there, and you can get narrowed down and target those people, but a vast majority of people do not have a $75,000 average income that are on any of the other platforms. So LinkedIn has professional people with money to buy your products and services.
Jacob, not to interrupt, but that's really interesting. Do you know what the average income is on Facebook?
No, I don't do any marketing on Facebook. Andy would be the best person to be able to tell you, in my opinion.
Well, I think Annie Giudice is on the call. Annie, that's some homework for you. I never even thought about that, in regards to LinkedIn, but that's really interesting. Yeah,
and ultimately it's continuing to grow because they measure active users being monthly users. And over the period of time, so 2016, you only had 106 million people. So that's only 5 years ago that were active. And the following year, it was 260. So, you almost, not quite triple, but pretty close, that at least used once a year. Right now, it's a little bit higher than 310 million, but it continues to grow. And the crazy part out of that, so the 722 million, well, guess what? 40% of them, starting to get to half of them, are daily users. So people are starting to get more active, at least logging in and seeing things. So we want to be in their feed. And we can do that without spending any ad dollars, because side note, LinkedIn is actually the most expensive platform to target market, which is crazy. So I don't do that. I just spend 15 minutes a day, 3 times a day. So I guess 45 minutes to comment on a few posts and like a few posts. That's all I do. So 45 minutes is what I spend. You don't have to do that, but it's, if you can start getting active and engaged, man, what a way for us to start to manipulate the algorithm, as you'll see in a little bit, so that we show up in people's feeds and timelines. And if we do a good job of building out who we're connected to and starting to be a little bit less accept everything, you have a very targeted following that is the people that you want to be talking to. Those are the people you want to be showing up in their feed, because they're the ones that are looking for your products and services. So, and based on LinkedIn's data, 60% of people that are on LinkedIn, and this goes back to why it's important, they are actively looking for industry-specific content. So 60% of all people are specifically there because they know that they'll find articles and content around what they are trying to either learn or industries that they're trying to get involved with if you're in sales. So guess what? People are actively looking for stuff. So ultimately, the question becomes, how do you use it? Because I think that we can make the case that whether you're business to business or business to consumer, your target market is on LinkedIn. I think that we can make that case pretty well. But if we just have a profile and we post occasionally for that group of people, are we effectively using it? Are we showing up in our target market? And the answer is probably not, because there's human aspects, and we'll talk about how that algorithm actually works, but probably not. We need to be active. So one, I don't know who here doesn't have it, but you should have a professional headshot. It is still viewed as a professional spot to be able to have for business. So get a headshot. I still see too many of those mirror selfies or like those things. Don't do it. You make decisions the first time you meet people in real life. The same is true the first impression that you get when you see somebody's name in the picture. Same thing. So clean it up, make sure you have it, and you're 15 times more likely to have people go to your profile. And your profile should be kind of like the landing page for your business and on the personal side. And our biography. Well, there's the title allows you to say what you do, and you should use a summary, honestly, to say and how you do it. Give some bullet points of here's where we excel, here's our target market, and here's how we implement strategies for whatever it is that your product or service is, because people should be able to, if your title gets fun and creative, is kind of like your email headline, to get somebody to open it up, because we just want, oh, this is fun, I want to see what you do. And if your summary can lay out what you do and how you do it, then all of a sudden you're more likely to get people that are starting to find out who you are, what you stand for, and, oh shoot, you can actually help me. Boom. So let your summary do that. And we'll talk a little bit, because some of you guys are in regulated industries. I am. In fact, I'm even going to use an old profile thing from me, because if you can't make fun of yourself, then who can you make fun of? And being like, here's a bad profile, let's compare it with a good profile. So here it is. For those that didn't know, I used to work for New York Life. And if you look at this, financial service professional, like, what does that mean? Nobody has, that's not fun. That's not engaging. That doesn't tell me anything. And then if you go to my profile, at least mine's a little bit better now, but then all of a sudden it goes, here's blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm bored reading it. So if I'm bored reading it, I should be my biggest advocate, right? So if who else is going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to do business with him? Well, in some of your industries, I'm sorry, but there's some things that you just can't do. The good news is I still found ways to get around that. So it's not the end of the world. We can get around that with engagement. But from a strict profile purposes, not good. But here's a good one. And I've talked to this guy a few times. He's out of Kentucky. His name's Justin. And he has a LinkedIn branding company, but he also owns four, not witches. I'm blanking on which his restaurant is, but he owns 4 restaurants, but this is primary stuff. And the first time I ever found him, he showed up on my feed because people were connected, and I saw LinkedIn Jedi Knight. And I don't know about you guys, but I have some nerd tendencies, and I go, this is awesome. So naturally, I went in and I wanted to look, what are you doing? And we had a few calls, and it was awesome. He's a great dude. But then here's his profile. He just starts going, he goes, hey, here's some top advice. Here are some things that we do. Hey, here's some stuff that you should be doing. Here's some things that in your first initial meeting, he would probably be telling you for free anyway, right? And all of a sudden, hey, you can only have 1,500 pending connection requests for you spammers out there. And eventually, if you get to that point, you can't add anymore. You have to delete some of those requests. You can only block 250 people. So now you have to be kind of conscious about who are you going to just unconnect with, and who are you going to block? Like where do you draw that line? Some people deserve to be blocked, to be fair. But now you have to make some of those decisions. You can only have 30,000 actual connections, and then you can get followers for the rest. But those are all things that you need to know. Or if you send a connect and enough people say, decline, I don't know you, then all of a sudden you kind of get into LinkedIn jail, and you can only send those connections if you have the email that's tied to that account. And some of you have probably been in that place, and you're like, hey, what did I do? Well, enough people said they didn't know you. So that's a problem. But anyway, here is a good spot for when we're talking about how do you do what you do, to give for free some of the advice that you would give for free anyway in your initial meeting, and go, hey, here's some helpful stuff. We're trying to add value here. And so if we can do that, that's amazing. And so I love Justin. He's awesome. And literally this is what he does. He's grown this side business into a 6-figure business relatively quickly. And it's awesome. But here's what he tells. He goes, here's what I do. Here's how I do it. And then here's some top free advice. So if we're going to continue to do it, you and I need to be active. And when I just say active, you need to post content that's relevant. And when I say relevant, I'm talking about who's your target audience and what do they want to hear? What stuff are they looking for? And sometimes I joke about it and I go, hey, what are the questions that we should be asking anyway? What are the things that those people are actively seeking? How are we going to add value now? How are we going to answer some of those questions now? It just needs to be relevant for your audience. And while I do love cat videos, don't get me wrong, that's probably not the best spot to build your brand on LinkedIn. Not the best space. You can still do it occasionally. We all love our dogs and all those things, and sometimes that's a part of who you are. So I'm not saying you don't ever do it, but it needs to be relevant about your audience. But here's the key. So we had 722 million users worldwide. Only 3 million post at least once a week. So if you could commit to post at least once a week something about you, about your business, about things that those people are asking, you're in the top 1% of all LinkedIn users. So then you'll start showing up more in other people's feeds. So very small amount, post at least weekly. Engage with other people. I told you I spend 15 minutes 3 times a day, and this is what I do. I find 3 or 4 posts that I like, and I'll like it. And I find 3 or 4 posts that I can add insight to, that I think that I'm either a subject matter in or something that is appealing to me. So things like variety, if I see variety posts, I'll actively do that. But we're not talking about just good posts, cool, those types of things. Like, how do we actually add value to that conversation and engage with other people's posts? If you do that, and we'll talk again about the algorithm, but ultimately by commenting on other people's posts, you start showing up in those people's feeds. So if these are people that you are trying to prospect or talk to, the easiest way to get your stuff to start showing in their feed is to start liking and commenting on their posts. It'll naturally put your stuff in their feed to be seen. And so let them start to become familiar with you. And then invite other people into your conversation. Like if there's a tax conversation that you're part, who are some of the attorneys that you know? Ask for their input. If you're talking about mortgages or real estate or coaching stuff, anything that's going on, who are some of those people that you know, and start bringing them into those conversations because they're subject matter experts. And who doesn't like being asked for their opinion? Like, none of us hate it when somebody goes, hey, Could you weigh in on this? It makes you feel special and appreciated. And so same is true here. So if you tag somebody and you go, hey, what are your thoughts? Well, we're starting to build rapport and relationship here, and it's easy. All you have to do is do the @ sign and the first few letters of their name, and they'll probably show up, and you go, boom. You're depositing value. Because at the end of the day, I know that we're at a virtual spot right now, but this is what's cool about social media in general, but LinkedIn is that all LinkedIn is a 24/7, 365 day a year networking event. The comment sections of posts, of your posts, of other people's posts, are the exact same as if we were at the annual dinner and just having conversation. The difference is that it's not happening necessarily right now, right away. Sometimes there's hours between comments, but if you keep conversations going, it functions the same way. So we just need to think of LinkedIn as an ongoing networking event. So ask the same questions that you would when you're meeting somebody for the first time. Ask those things. Just treat it that way. And if you are like me and sometimes you just can't sleep at night, guess what? I can log in and start adding my 2 cents on things that are in my feed. And I'll wake up in the morning and people have already responded. So you're adding value there. But this is key. When we talk about creating content, it starts with you have to know who your audience is, which also starts with creating your audience. Again, you don't want to just connect only with everybody that sends you a request or anybody to just max do this, because if you're in, I don't know, accounting or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. Your target market isn't going to be a certain amount of people. But if you fill your network with those people, then that's going to be problematic. So build your network the way that you would want to build your network to make sure that the right eyes are seeing your stuff, because those are the people that are also going to engage with it. They're going to comment on it and then spread it to other people. And those people are connected with more people that are like your target audience. That's what's amazing about the algorithm of LinkedIn, is the organic reach that you can do without spending a single ad dollar is amazing if you get engagement. But if people don't care about what you're posting, then that's problematic. But ask yourself, what do they want to know? What do they need to know? What are the questions that you already know? So if Daniel goes, hey, 80% of the time, the first meeting I have with clients, I already know that they're going to ask these 2 or 3 questions. Start answering those questions before you ever meet. Create content around specifically those things. Start adding value there. So like, oh shoot, I was going to ask that. Thank you. And what do they need to know? I also say there's also other things, that questions they should be asking that they haven't. And we all have those clients. We're like, you're asking the wrong questions, or you're starting there, but you're not thinking about these other things. They, again, are probably going to come up in first meeting. So again, let's give that value up front. Go, hey, are you in this situation? Hey, here's some questions that you should be asking. And then you get people to go, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. That's right, because you're the expert. So start adding value there. So what do they want to know? What do they need to know? You also need to know how they view things. Your age group is going to be different. Some people love video. Some people love infographics. Some people love bullet points. Some people love, I don't know, anything else. But you need to know who your target is, and you might have different segments, and start creating specific things for those. So if we do that, guess what? All of a sudden, our right people, we're answering the questions they're already asking or thinking or should be thinking, and we're providing content in ways that they already view or engage things. And so you can create the same content and just make that 2 or 3 different ways, and it's pretty easy. So you just convert it into other things, and then you start posting. And now, guess what? One thing could have 4 or 5 different posts, and then you could just repurpose it, which is pretty awesome. But at the end of the day, we're trying to deliver value. If you're not delivering value, people won't follow you. People won't care. So don't just post and try to take out a deposit. We needed to be depositing into our network. And then we earn the rights to be able to say, hey, can I make a withdrawal? So, but at the end of the day, and I know that this is a question that always comes up, is, and Trisha talked about it a little bit, is should we have our business page, our personal page? Very few people are going to do business with your company because your company, depending on who you are. I know that we have a lot of small businesses here, so that's a little bit different because your business is you. But we're getting further and further away of, I like this and trust this company, and since they hired you, I'm going to trust you. Where now it's more of, I'm going to do business with you because I like and trust you. So if your company chose you, I'll trust your company. And so let LinkedIn be the place where you, on your personal stuff, yeah, you should share your company's stuff. You should talk about it. You should post things about your company. But also you need to start talking about, what are the things in the community you love about? What are the things that you invest in? What are some of the other things? Because people want to know, like, and trust you. And how do you do that if the only thing you ever post is buy life insurance, or get coaching lessons, or insert whatever your industry is? If that's the only thing you're ever doing, you're like every other person that posts on LinkedIn and gets no engagement. And so let people get to know you. And if you work for a larger company, your company or your business ultimately is going to benefit because people trust their salespeople. So my personal opinion is that more companies need to invest in their salespeople's personal brand, because if they do that, they'll reap all the benefits. So take that as a grain of salt, but Emily Steele and I have a similar opinion that people need to invest in their salespeople and telling their story and do less about the company itself. But ultimately, marketing on LinkedIn is going to thrive where you are posting things that are relevant to your target audience, and a mixture of, here's who I am, here's what I stand for, you get to know me. And where you do that really well, that's where it comes together, because it's, I need this product or service, but I also know that your values and the things you care about and you support align with me. So I'm looking for this product or service, I'm going to trust you. So hashtags, 3 to 4 max. This is not Instagram. Don't do 30 hashtags, 3 to 4 max. Get more than that, you start losing organic reach. And I know that I post more than that sometimes, but sometimes you just need to. But as a general rule, 3 to 4 max hurts your view otherwise. And hashtag layering, I'm pretty sure that Emily probably talks about this as well with Instagram, is as you start to build your expertise, if you go and find hashtags that are related to your industry, you'll find some that have less than 100 people following it. You'll find some that have 500 or less. You'll have some that have 1,000, some that have 2,500, and they'll tell you how many people are following it. And if you can start to align some of those smaller ones, then all of a sudden you show up in their feed because they're following it. And then you're starting to build credibility. And then if you start using some of the other ones, you start to occasionally show up. And then you start using some of the ones that everybody follows, you'll show up eventually. But as you do that, you're going to start building that credibility of seeing you. And the people that are following those hashtags, there's a reason. Either they're in this industry or they're asking questions about that industry, where you can position yourself as the expert. So we'll breeze right through this and then we'll be done. Promise. Algorithm, don't put links in the post. Put it in the comments. The reason This might come as a surprise. LinkedIn is still a marketing company. They get paid based on advertising. So if you put a post or a link in the post that's going to intentionally take you off the website, they're giving you the resources to be able to make sure that the people are paying for advertising will not see, you won't see it. So they ding you for it. But guess what? If you put it in the comments, doesn't happen. So do that. If you wait a few hours, then you can delete it and put it back in after it's already made it through the algorithm. So I do that sometimes, where if I have a post, put in the comments, and then maybe halfway through the day, I'll go and add it into the post, right where I said link in comments, I'll add it there. But as a general rule, don't want to do it. It's going to hurt your organic reach. Also, you need engagement early on. This is where, if you have a sales team, they should all be liking, commenting on your business page, but also everybody should be engaging with your sales team when they post things. Because if you don't get engagement early on, and usually it's the first 2-3 hours, LinkedIn says, if your first degree connections don't like this, there is no way that your second and third degree connections are going to like this. So if you're not relevant to the people following you, we're not going to let it see people that aren't following you. It's not relevant. So you need engagement early on. We can manipulate that by having people go and like and comment our stuff, and eventually get removed from others' feeds, because there is a human factor to the LinkedIn algorithm, meaning if Daniel keeps on posting things and I just keep scrolling by, eventually the algorithm will go, Daniel doesn't post relevant stuff for Jacob, so we're going to completely take him out of his feed. And that happens, especially for you people that said that we just post randomly or we post occasionally. If you're not getting engagement, that's what's going to happen, and people are going to stop showing up in your feed. So we can get back in your feed by commenting on your stuff, by tagging you in posts, by liking your things. So there's still ways around it, but it's going to take a little bit more work to try to show it back in. But there's a human element that we need to be aware of. Also, poll question number 2, best way for engagement. And this should be pretty quick. You only have 3 options: like, comment, or share.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. I thought I was talking to everybody. All right, here we go. I think I got the next poll ready to go. So you've got some choices here. We'll let everyone have a few seconds here to make your selection. The best form of engagement. Wow, this is a tough one, Jacob. You've got a new post out there. What's the best engagement? What does the algorithm like best, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, just over half of us have voted, so a few more seconds here. Those of you who are multitasking, if you want to chime in on this poll.
And you can go ahead and end it, Dan.
All right, we can do that.
We have a unanimous
We do.
poll.
Yes, we do. So there it is.
Awesome. And the good news is you guys are right. Comment is the best thing for engagement. And here's the actual order, just so you know. It goes comment, like, and share. Comment, like, share. That's the best, or that's the order of engagement. And the reason is LinkedIn rewards original thinkers or original content. So if you are going to share somebody's stuff, by the nature of it, you are not the original poster of it. So that's why it's last. Like, comment, shares aren't bad, but if you're going to share, especially if it's from your business page, I would rather you get the PDF or the post from the business page and just post that as well to your personal and tag your business in it, because we're going to try to get more followers to your business. Otherwise, if you just share it, which is fine, you're just not going to get as much of a reach. It'll be better off if you just share it to your personal as well. But good job, you guys are right. But it will always change. The algorithm will always change. It's changed so many times. But here's the key. If you're consistent and you try new things, some of them might fail. That's okay. But some of them might be your next big thing. So when I started Why Wednesday, didn't get much engagement early on. Now I'm 3 years in, and I get a solid 2,000 to 3,000 views on it every time that I do one, which is pretty good for me and the people that I have on as guests. So try new things. Some will fail, some won't. And just because it fails now doesn't mean that it won't be successful in the future. So don't just give up on it. But at the end of the day, be genuinely who you are, and people will fall in love with you. So at the end of the day, here it is. Takeaways. LinkedIn, huge opportunity. Your target audience, in most cases, whether you're B2B or B2C, is on LinkedIn. We didn't talk about it, but direct messaging is pretty amazing. Again, bypassing gatekeepers for key decision makers is awesome. So take advantage of that. You have to be active. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. If you're not active, no one will see your stuff. And a key thing, because those were probably all in some sort of sales role, views and engagement is not the end goal. So end goal is still grow your pipeline, prospect, and ultimately sales. This LinkedIn might not be the end all be all for your business, but if we add it as a part of our overall strategy, we can start adding another funnel into your business. That's the goal. But just because you get views and engagement, don't like pound your chest, go, look at this is amazing. I'm trending. But if that's not ending up in dollars in your pocket, that's a problem. So reevaluate. And one of my favorite sayings in life goals, don't be a schmuck, which means, well, if I connected 2 seconds ago, don't hard pitch me. I'll unconnect with you so fast. I want you to get to know me. And most people want you to at least value and get to know them. What LinkedIn will allow you to do, if you share some of your personal stuff, not all of it, but some of the who you are, what you stand for, people can behind the scenes get to know you. And then when you ask those follow-up questions or to get together, hey, I want an opportunity to win your business, it goes a long way, especially if you're tagging people. And I will, in the comment section, I will always respond and tag you, because even if we're not connected or not doing business with you, I want you to keep on getting the notification that Jacob Rep tagged you. You'll read it, and by the time I make a call or send an email, you're at least familiar with me before I ever ask anything. So, but don't be a schmuck. And if you do these things, if you use LinkedIn as a part of your strategy, not end all be all, as a part of your strategy, your LinkedIn following will grow. You can even become national experts in your field. You can grow your brand. People will become familiar with you, what you stand for. And if you do that, since people do business with people, your business will grow, period.
All right. Well, thank you, Jacob. That's wonderful stuff. Hopefully you don't mind sticking around answering a few questions. We've had some wonderful chat going on over here. So I've got a question or two or three maybe to ask of you.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I just saw the little notice that questions were coming, but I did not see them.
Oh, no, that's fine. We definitely wanted you to keep rolling on your content. So we had a question and a good discussion over here in the chat. Can you use, or maybe should you use, the same Facebook or Instagram posts also on LinkedIn? What do you think?
I'm not saying you can't. Sometimes, and Andy might be the best to talk about this because, again, I only use LinkedIn. But formatting is different on every platform. So I'm not saying that you can't do it, but you need to make sure if you're doing it's a photo, that the metrics of it align the same, because not all of them are the same. And if the whatever that's called, pixels or whatever. If that's not the same, it looks weird. And if it looks weird, that sometimes that's enough to be able to go, oh, wait a second, you're not professional. So if you do that, that's fine. It's just you need to make sure that it's formulated to the right platform.
Okay, great. Another question here. This one's coming from Andy. Would you say services like Advisor Stream are more hurt than help since they are all link-based and not personal?
On LinkedIn, at least, yes. I would rather make sure that I take 2 minutes to copy the same post and then put it in, is my personal opinion. But there's something to be said about convenience, right? So things like Advisor Stream or Hootsuite or any of those stuff goes, I can schedule my content calendar and not have to worry about it. It depends on your strategy, but it will.
All right. Apparently Andy was fishing so she can say, I heard it from an expert.
So yeah, I see that.
That's
so
exactly what I was doing.
It will hurt your organic reach significantly. Like you should try it. And I play around with these things. That's how I found out the algorithm stuff. And I also find out when it changes, because all of a sudden your post will go, wait, what the heck happened? I just cut in half. But honestly, with a link, I get about probably a quarter of the reach organically, which isn't the end of the world if you built your network as your target audience, but most people don't. So if it's it's a quarter of the reach and none of those people are your target audience, then it actually just continues to hurt you negatively going forward.
Okay. Here's a hashtag question. Shar is asking, can you just start a new hashtag?
Of course he can. How do you think that Rep Des Moines can? Or I've created 2, Rep Des Moines and Promote People, Not Products, because that's how I live my life and I do business. So yes, you can. It could take some time for people to catch on, but theoretically, yeah, you can have it be whatever you want, but let it be fun. Let it be tied to you as a person. And if it also can tie to you as a person and the industry you're in, then all of a sudden you can take off. So there's not anything that's like sexy about it, honestly. You can have it be whatever you want, but catchy ones are easier to do because it's like it just rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, wonderful.
Daniel,
All right.
had one, Jess Ladinsky, she's up higher.
Oh, I missed that one. Okay.
That question, Jacob, is do social service agencies use LinkedIn or have a product purpose on LinkedIn if they do not sell anything?
Do you want my personal opinion? Because I think that most agencies do offer it as a service, but they don't know anything about it. So this is they charge their clients, but they don't know anything about it. It's actually hurting them more than helping them, at least on that platform. They might be amazing at everything else, but agencies have to know where they're good at. And this is, again, just my personal opinion. And based on conversations I have with agencies across Iowa, there's a reason that they call me and ask me for LinkedIn advice, is because they don't know it. And it's a disservice to their clients. And I'm sorry if there are people that like do that. It's just know your space, and you can hire or bring other people that are in that space, but don't be a pretender that you're an expert in that space if you're not. But I think we would all agree with that in terms of all of our industries. Hey, delegate where you're not good at and double down on where you're really good at. But I've seen enough people that pay a ridiculous amount for LinkedIn services, and it's not good.
Awesome.
I kind of read that question differently, not about like, do social services agencies use LinkedIn or have a product purpose on LinkedIn if they do not sell anything? I'm seeing that more as like a social services agency that's providing human services stuff, but that's just how I was reading it. I don't know what Jess was feeling with it.
This
Not
is
like-
Jess. Yes, that's what I meant. I meant to do those type of agencies. Are they even on LinkedIn? And if they are, is it purposeful because they don't sell anything per se?
Like HR agencies?
Like a now I'm totally blanking, but like
like Link
PC
Associates, like Sissel, like
Like
yeah.
same thing to DePaul. Places that are
Yeah,
like
yeah.
nonprofits that help with doing
nonprofits,
business.
yes.
Oh, not, yes. I tag so many nonprofits every time. Like the same thing, if you're a nonprofit that's raising money, again, the same thing is true. The people that are giving money, the businesses that are giving money, you probably need to be connected with execs and decision makers when you're asking for sponsorships or any of those things. Plus, the people that are on there, 75,000s is the average, more or less. They get brought. The actual average on LinkedIn, so almost 50% is over 75,000, but the average is actually 42,000. Only because so many people are recent grads that it brings down all of the, like people that are in college and recent grads that have zero income bring down the average significantly. So the people that are going to be giving to your nonprofit are also on LinkedIn. So I say that still exists. But if you're trying to do some of the other things, I don't know, not everybody should be on LinkedIn. It depends on what you're trying to accomplish.
And this is Trish, of course. But I agree with that, Jacob, because again, I think the algorithm, as long as you're maintaining your LinkedIn from what you're telling us, that your algorithm and your chance of reaching those people to donate that money or donate to the cause is going to be much better than on Facebook.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
Facebook's algorithms are just horrible anymore. But I mean, you have to be there, and hopefully they'll change as well. But I have seen more engagement, and I'm one of those horrible ones. I post not often enough. I thought about handing over because my personal LinkedIn, having had it for now 14, 15, 16 years, has, reads like a who's who list, but I'm not engaging with them like I should. And so I thought about handing it over and having somebody else run it, but then I worry about that, that lack of engagement for me.
Yeah. And to put it in perspective, so I'm vice president. I'll take over as president of Young Variety on May 1st. And I raised a little over $5,000 for Variety this year. And probably half of that came from LinkedIn posts, not necessarily directly, because I did a few of them and people donated straight to the link. But what I did keep track of and notes of is who are the people that hadn't donated, but had engaged with multiple of those posts. And then it was hey, blah, 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 I'm trying to do this. And almost all of them gave money. And so it's knowing who's engaging with your stuff. And you can use that data for your Salesforce or your pipeline stuff. Just go, oh, hey, we have a reason to follow up because you've engaged with multiple of these types of posts. And those, because they might not necessarily go, oh, I'm looking for reach out to you, but they're giving you some of the signs that, hey, we're interested. And so I have notes and spreadsheets of people who have commented on all my stuff. It's a little bit crazy and probably redundant, but I don't put people in Salesforce until we've had some sort of conversation. So I need a way to track that without, having 10,000 people in. Thanks, Nate. I appreciate that.
That's awesome. Oh, awesome.
All right. Any other questions? This has been a great conversation.
Oh, this is some amazing information. Actually, I had an aha moment about every 5 minutes. And I've been on LinkedIn for almost 2 decades now. So this is just fantastic. We will, might be one of those ones we just really need to get out there. So hopefully on social media. So hopefully you're okay with that, Jacob, and we'll get this information out there.
Yeah,
well, thanks
absolutely.
again, Jacob.
For having me.
Yeah, we appreciate the information you've shared with us today. This has been fantastic. Good to see you again. Glad to have you on with this crew today. And I want to let everyone know, if you haven't taken a look at upcoming events with the Chamber over the next week or two, make sure you do that. One I'm particularly excited about, there's a ribbon cutting on Friday at the new Casey's, which is just around the corner from where I live. So on the south side, come check out the new Casey's. We've got Morning Fuel coming back next week. There's a Metro-wide mentoring for women next week that you might want to take a look at. That looks very exciting. So do take a look at the chamber calendar for some of those upcoming events. And with that, everyone, thanks for attending today. Once again, thanks to MediaCom Business for sponsoring the day. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jacob.